All right, hey guys. I know this is another time that I did it again, and uh, sprung a lie by you, but we have a lot to catch up on. So, gonna try to get this out there real quick. Wait, what? I gotta check something quick. Okay, I looked at something wrong. Sorry, I looked at something wrong. Just want to get this out there. I have enough time. I have enough time. Try to get this to as many people as possible. We just have a lot to catch up on. Uh, Great. All right. Dang it. I'm gonna have to go check something out. All right. So we literally have. I'm not gonna do them all in one sitting. All right. I'm gonna pull up the most recent videos because I want to go through them first, and then go to start catching up on the other ones. Probably gonna be working. I'm gonna kind of work backwards for these ones. Um, I might actually be doing a couple of lives a day to get you caught up. I don't know if I can. I'll try to just do one every day till I get caught up. See. That's a lot. Okay, so we're gonna push it. Uh So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do the last two videos.
For more than 80 years before the outbreak of World War
is from this morning. I can't see this. Okay. This one is alert 150,000 troops activating. Russia takes a final aim at Europe. NATO forces are ready. So this was the first one this morning. And then I'll do the one for this afternoon. And then we'll go back.
for the outbreak of World War
So here we
II,
go.
when military built
I will be right back, you guys. I gotta check something out. I'll be right back.
precautionary measures. Our country has been preparing for this
Plus, I
moment.
need to start getting dinner.
From the Cuban Missile Crisis, as we saw nuclear forces standing on edge of catastrophe, to the Cold War, as Europe was the fault line between two armed superpowers. We have seen that the most dangerous moments in our life are often the ones where leaders insist that they don't want to or are not drawing us into another global violent event. The car is arriving at that destination anyway, and Dad sure as shoot isn't turning us around on the highway. Today, once again, we are watching militaries prepare for the inevitable. Russia is conducting nuclear drills with Belarus. NATO is issuing the strongest warnings of World War that they have in years. Military planners are discussing the possibility of a conflict that spreads deep into the Baltic region. People are building bunkers. Commercial shipping routes are increasingly targets of widening economic battlefields. What we're watching will ultimately lead us into the great fall and collapse of the modern world that we know and understand today. In this broadcast, I'm going to be breaking down the latest developments surrounding Russia, NATO, Ukraine, the Black Sea, and huge military activity across Europe. Now, we just saw NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. He put out a "don't F around or you'll be farked" warning to Russia. He said that the country is going to face devastating consequences if it chooses to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine. Why is he saying that right now? Well, it's because Russia is facing a war that reaches home. Now it threatens Russian integrity and the government as a whole. And since the very beginning, and since the Cold War, this has been the only thing, the only line in the sand that Russia has declared. If you threaten continuity of governance in Russia, then the country reserves the right to use nuclear weapons. Now, NATO made this warning at a press conference in Brussels, and what they were talking about was commenting on the joint Russian-Belarusian nuclear drills that we covered last week. Now, according to Rutte, Moscow is aware of all of the consequences that they will face from their actions, but NATO will have to continue to monitor these developments closely, because if Russia uses nuclear weapons, the world uses nuclear weapons. Right now, there are two nuclear exercises being performed by Russia and Belarus. The readiness to use their weapons involves the full missile force of both countries, aviation divisions, components that are necessary to run at us, America, or for them to use their nuclear weapons in a war against what they see as aggressive defense of their national territorial integrity. Belarus says that these events include the delivery of special ammunition, and they're preparing for its use, and troop operations are underway. Now, this is without a doubt Russian nuclear signaling, and it's mostly toward Ukraine and its Western partners. And it's not the first time that Russia has said that it will use skin-melting bombs as a tool of political pressure or even military campaigning. But we did just see the Polish prime minister, and he said a Russian attack on NATO will be basically the end of the world as we know it. And it's possible in the near future. And analysts are alerting governments that they should be ready for what's going to happen when Russia engages in nuclear war or an exercising of Russian information and psychological pressure campaigns, ones that are aimed at deterring further Western military support for Ukraine, because we're giving them the bullets, just not pulling the trigger. Now, in related news, according to estimates from Danish intelligence services, Russia is right now expanding their military base and they're strengthening their force further away along its borders with Northern Europe and the Baltic states. This indicates that there's been a decision made inside of Russia to expand Moscow's conflict further toward the European country and their regions. Now, intelligence representatives from Sweden and Denmark and Norway and Finland, they believe that this situation is ultimately leading the world into a dangerous, probably the last confrontation between NATO and Russia. We have high-ranking military officials saying that when an escalation happens, initial hostilities are expected to begin near Denmark and the Baltic. Sources say that preparatory processes are underway, and they're telling everyone to get in your bunkers or build them at least. A plan was leaked showing that Russian troops are going to be deployed by the tens of thousands along their border areas. And former intelligence officer Marco Eklund, he says the plan, as it's known to Western leadership, will see the deployment of 115,000 Russian soldiers, each of them with military experience, toward the borders with NATO. You don't get those kind of troops ready without a willingness to use them. Moscow says that it's NATO and European states that are responsible for increasing tensions in the region. And we have Western military officials warning that the next 12 months of our life will be one of the most dangerous one-year periods that we will have ever faced in the United States or the entire world. And adding to these concerns, they say that there are visible increases in Russia's military production and the readiness of European armed forces or against them, as Europe faces a shortage of weapons, technology, and infrastructure due to the obligations that they made to Ukraine in an attempt to weaken Russia's ability to expand. Now, they argue that these gaps are becoming critical, and they'll be even more so in the event of Russia's moves. Experts are calling for a strengthening of European defense readiness, and they say that if we don't act right now, it is literally going to be too late. We just saw Kyrylo Budanov, head of the office of the president of Ukraine, saying that Russia's war against the country has reached a strategic dead end. They claim that the government is now urging the military. The outcome will carry enough weight on the to overthrow Moscow leadership overall. They noted that Russia's military and political leadership mistakenly, according to them, hopes to secure their aims by force. A hope that has been characterized by years of fighting, where Ukraine keeps selling the future of conflict to European batters, saying that despite constant shifts in governed territory along both the front lines and the other sides, there's a standstill. Russia's strategic position, according to Ukraine, has collapsed. The war for them, according to this leadership, is strategically at its end. It's a dead end. Now, we're also seeing reports that Russia just increased their security for their oceanic shipping in the Azov Black Sea basin. This is as countries around our world scramble to deal with what just a couple of months ago was an untouched part of the escalation. You didn't touch shipping because up. In response, Russia described this as a tense situation in the Sea of Azov, stemming from hostile drone attacks on maritime vessels directly due to NATO support. The Transport Ministry, they just announced that they established a specialized task force, one that will reroute all around the world, shift cargo to alternate modes of transportation. We're going back to the Stone Age here, folks. We're using railways again. But the Defense Ministry authorities are implementing additional measures that they say will ensure navigational safety, and they're trying to create a shield of commercial vessels that will operate within the Black Sea corridor. According to the official statements, they're going to do everything they can to be able to blast every other country out of the water. Now, just a couple of months ago, it was unheard of that you would see oil attacked, shipping vessels attacked, dropped to the bottom of the sea. Now we have warehouse fires in China, Russia, Ukraine, America, all around the world. Each logistical hub and standpoint is getting hit, and this goes on top of what is happening over in Ukraine or over in Iran. But the scariest part, at least for me and my family, is that this is literally the beginning. We're back in the 1900s, where you're hearing on the radio that it's going to de-escalate soon. But they're simultaneously telling you to get your children prepared, to fight for their lives, to defend your homeland. We're building up massive task force here inside of the USA, one that is ready to attack anybody who tries to remove American sovereignty through territorial control. They're threatening to use drones here on American soil. What are we really looking at? What we're looking at is a world engulfed in flames and a world at war. So for you and your family, your only thought right now needs to be, how am I going to, one, survive the next 12 months that they say is going to be the most dangerous period in our life? And two, how am I going to make that surviving a little bit more thriving? Buying extra food now saves you not just on the cost increase that's going up in the future, but it's also going to ensure that you and your family can throw in the back of your vehicle 3-6 months worth of food and you can go somewhere. Evacuation planning, communications planning, how to desalinate water. Do you have a still for that? Water filtration. What happens when your main one goes down? Do you know how to activate charcoal to deal with somebody who was so hungry they decided to take a chance on that mushroom that turned out to be a poisonous mushroom, in which even in 2026 today the hospitals are still giving activated charcoal for it? How will you live through it? How will you prepare?
Evening, dramatic new video tonight of a truck on fire on I-15 near Cedar City.
Yeah, stunning as this video is right here, it is not nearly as shocking as how the fire started. Special Sandra Adams speaking with the driver who says it was caused by.
I'm trying to wash a few little dishes that are out there.
Yeah.
I'm working on dinner. Okay. So this is the one that was just 4 hours ago.
I got some breaking news here for you. The latest reports that are coming in.
I haven't even seen this one yet. Really, man, I'm climbing up there.
All right. I've got some breaking news here for you. The latest reports that are coming in from the United States of America, Russia, and Ukraine suggest that these countries are now entering into a new wartime footing with an escalatory expectation of reaching unmistakable World War levels within a couple of weeks. Now, reports are showing that
better get prepared, you guys.
US military has exhausted a large portion. Some reports suggest that we have exhausted all of America's long-range precision missile.
Better get prepared.
That was during only
These things are, it's coming.
With Iran.
Get your seeds. Get seeds. Get seeds. I can't stress that enough. Get your seeds and get your water. We still don't have ours figured out.
When the conflict began, and these missile
Funny
systems are some of our most valuable so-called standoff weapons. They allow targets to be struck without exposing the pilots or
Another
the
video.
land forces to sophisticated defense mechanisms. Now, U.S. Central Command started pulling missiles immediately from stockpiles that are designed or assigned to other regions in order to sustain the operations that we're going through. In the White House, they're maintaining a position that says that American production has expanded rapidly. But the research that I have performed here shows that replacing these particular weapon systems is going to be a timeline that is measured in years, not months. Now, during World War II, victory was able to find purchase only by the nations that were able to outproduce their enemies. Germany repeatedly fielded technologically advanced weapons, but Allied industrial production was able to.
I'm gonna do this video. You guys can't really see it. How to make drinkable water out of air.
Factories were more a part of the war effort. Individual.
Got to get back into that book.
Obtaining battlefield victory. And I know because my grandmother and my aunt both worked in World War II factories, both building the munitions that were capable of sustaining the war. Now, our defensive procedure here inside of the USA relies heavily upon a small number of extraordinarily capable precision weapons. And they do this rather than using massive wartime inventory really well for a while. It worked until it. Campaigns like Operation Desert Storm. It shows that you could use precision-guided munitions, overwhelmingly effective. But now we're in 2026, and we see it's taking a lot more than that to take over a country. Now, Washington is working to rebuild the arsenal. We're also seeing attempting to accelerate Russia's depletion of their arsenal. Their security service just announced that they have conducted strikes against more than 100 different strategic military industrial targets over a 35 to 40-day period. According to Ukrainian officials, those operations targeted air bases, refineries, oil refineries, radar installations, and ocean that are associated with Russia's so-called shadow fleet. And rather than concentrating just on one series of targets, Ukraine was able to pursue them by hitting on kind of like an all-sides campaign. This was aimed at forcing Russia to defend every different area simultaneously, like their airfields and fuel supply or resupply, hitting their transportation nodes and military production capacity. Each one of these targets that the West wants to reduce Russia's ability to sustain combat operation. Now, this strategy does have some historical precedent. During World War II, we saw Allied bombing campaigns increasingly shift away from cities and it shifted toward transportation. In oil production, bridges, rail systems, industrial centers, we were really hitting our enemy where it hurt. And Russia is kind of adapting that same strategy. According to the energy minister, that's Denis Shmyhal, Russia is expanding. They're now targeting strike packages against Ukraine's water infrastructure. We're not even a year past last winter when attacks on the electrical grid forced blackouts across most of the country. And Ukraine says that more than 80% of its power generation capability or capacity has already been damaged or destroyed since the war began. So there's going to be a lot of freezing to death Ukrainian grandmothers this year. But water is a whole nother level. Life depends on electricity today, modern life. Pumping stations, treatment. We have systems that without them, hospitals and firefighters, the cops who come to your door, they cannot operate and they, in effect, deteriorate rapidly. This is now a siege fight. And we've seen it in earlier centuries where armies would focus on denying a population access to things like food and water. But it's 2026, and today's weapons have now replaced the catapults of centuries ago. But the critical infrastructure remains the same. And one of the fastest ways to apply pressure on both governments and civilian populations is to screw them up, take them out. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense just said that Russia used more than 8,300 guided glide bombs in July, the highest monthly total of the war. Combating this with intense engagements, over 250 every single day, we see Russia increasingly converting their conventional bombs to these guided glide weapons. And what these systems are designed to do is be significantly cheaper to manufacture than the precision weapons and missile systems that we talked about earlier in this podcast. But it still allows the aircraft to attack targets at a greater
Yes, get your seeds.
removing themselves from the air defense.
So important.
Now, experts describe this as an
I need to work on our water situation.
Capacity together with modern supply chains, the ability for a country to produce.
Hold on.
It's just as important as a tactic on the battlefield. And being able to build thousands of affordable weapons is ultimately proving to be an effective strategy because its value is in possession of smaller inventories of highly sophisticated drones. Now, the United States of America, we're already facing pressure. We're trying to rebuild a depleted precision weapons network while simultaneously maintain a deterrent stance in Europe and the Middle East and the Indo-Pacific. Forget about China. And Russia's moving to increase their attacks with efforts to strike the infrastructure of these countries that support Ukraine's infrastructure of this war. They appear determined to keep extending the battlefield, at least Ukraine does, deeper into enemy territory, targeting the logistics centers and the energy systems rather than focusing solely on the frontline and trench warfare forces that we saw in the last couple of years. This is obviously a World War III update. Because when you get this many countries combined into a wartime conflict, you can't call it anything but World War III. And so there's only one piece of this puzzle that is missing, and the missing piece is China. Now, China plays the long game, and they're very smart about this. They're letting all of their allies deplete America's ability to defend Taiwan. And we see that if these reports are anywhere near true, because just like I can't walk in the gold room at Fort Knox, and I can't see that it's not just yellow painted lead sitting there on the ground or a neat way to recycle our depleted uranium and put it into Fort Knox. Just like I can't verify that that's true, I can't verify that we either have used all of our munitions or we haven't. And so we have to take government and non-government organization information and make the best decisions for our family. And one of the best decisions for me and my family is to look at what's happening and say, okay, is it looking more like World War or is it looking less? Does it look like I'm going to have a food supply chain problem, or like food is in abundance and it's cheaper than well? I don't think I have to really look at those things and tell you whether it looks like food supply is going to be a problem or not. Food supply, right?
You guys can't even see it. It's
have
like
to
you
look
got
at
a
these
little
things
tiny
and
kitten.
tell you that it seems
cute.
like this country is going to engage
It's always such a glare.
wartime.
I'm sorry, you guys.
Than we have the last 80 years. What we have to do is look at all the things that are happening. We can see that if you're not of mind to get ready and to be prepared, then you're not going to make it. And that's just the raw truth of it. If you're not going to make it in this new modern world, then what are you even doing? Why is your family
Okay.
or your wife or your child learn how to hunt and learn how to fish? And we better get those routes prepared right now, because every other person in the city is going to come into your hunting ground. You're going to wipe it out. And I know that you.
I was just looking at my website. I've got to pay. I've $56. I have to
Hunting season is
get
over,
it.
the deers are everywhere.
I'll
And as soon as the
run
fishing
again.
spots are known, they become overfished. And that's something that happens slowly. The grid goes down or a blackout rolls through America, there's going to be nothing to eat anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty. Let's try something.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer
sorry,
based
guys.
upon my rights under the
Again, I
Fifth
don't
Amendment
have
to the
time.
Constitution.
What color's the color in front of you?
The advice of
Little rescue
counsel, I
boy that I've been
respectfully
feeding.
decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
This is my little rescue boy. Come here. Yeah, he's Maui. Come here. Look at my baby boy. Yeah, this is my boy. I had to give him a little bit of a bath earlier. He was dirty. No, I didn't submit. I just took a washcloth, a warm washcloth, and washed him up a little bit. Just some right here, and on his dowie. And his bum. He's my boy. Oh, good boy. He's purring. Okay, so I'm gonna go backward. I'm gonna go back. And now we're gonna get into
Food supply, right? I've got some breaking news here for you. The latest reports that are coming in from the United States of America, Russia, and Ukraine suggest that these countries are now entering into a new wartime footing with an escalatory expectation of reaching unmistakable World War levels within a couple of weeks. Now, reports are showing that the U.S. Army, the U.S. military, has exhausted a large portion. Some reports suggest that we have exhausted all of America's long-range precision missile capabilities. That was during only the 5-month conflict.
stop. Hand up. You get you on a fast. So right. She just a mama kid. She has 3 babies of her own. Sorry guys, hold on, I've got to check my taco. So, sorry again. Oh. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go back. Those are just way too old. They're just. I'm not gonna go back that far. All right, so I'm not going to go back that far. What I am going to do is I'm going to go back. This is 9 days, and I apologize. Best enemy.
Everyone, I just got.
So this is from 9 days ago.
Everyone, I just got word
This is
that
show it.
a group of operators.
All right, the title is Alert Urgent Threat U.S. Enemy Operators May Be Activated Inside America as Trump Weighs Attack. This was from 9 days ago.
May have been activated. This is after the Berlin attack.
I'm going to try to get in quite a few videos.
Terrorist group.
As many as possible.
Some sort of
623.
activation of these elements.
We'll see.
This means that inside of
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up tomorrow morning.
Make sure that you're switching a little
I have to pull myself out of bed, whether I'm tired or not.
School.
And get things done that I need to get done, and then I'm going to get back out and start another live first thing in the morning.
I did see
So, we got to get caught up on this stuff.
Across the United States of America, it was at least acceptable or receivable here inside of the USA. The message means nothing to you and me. You can't decipher it. You can't decode it. You don't know what they're saying. What we can see is that it's coming from a Middle Eastern country. Some of the technological targeting shows that, and it's being broadcast to the rest of the world. This is happening while we have these attacks that are increasing. I just saw a viewer here in our community, a FSS family member here, said that they just had their friend attacked on a major street inside of the USA. The police show up and they do absolutely nothing. Now, I don't know if this is part of a broader campaign of our government or law enforcement to not handle these types of events that are happening, but we're seeing a major shift in your violent propensity across the country. So make sure that you're aware of that. Yemen is edging toward the resumption of more than a decade of a new war with Saudi Arabia and with other countries, the United States of America and Iran, even though they're saying that they're pausing. How many times have they paused, really? They're saying that there's some sort of negotiating table pause that is taking place, but it's not. That's a lie. Both sides are rearming. Some concerning reports came out of the U.S. military with members of our political group here inside of the country saying that we are basically, and China knows it, we can't even fight this country, Iran, without depleting more readiness positions and ammunition. We can't do it. Now, we did have some other, I'm going to get to that in today's video, some other politicians come out and say, you know what, we do. We have enough weapons that can take this entire war to the end. But I think that what they're talking about there is new. French police detained multiple suspects preparing for a terrorist attack. All the detainees were charged with robbery and being part of a criminal group, as well as the transportation and the sale of weapons. They're in custody and there is a court hearing that is being held. Donald Trump says that he is considering a massive attack, one that is larger than ever before, close to making that decision. So if we're getting word that nukes might be on the table here, that a nuclear option has been prepared and that they're ready to go after the communications all across the Middle East, they're trying to harden, and you probably aren't hearing this anywhere else. They're trying to harden the communication systems in Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and United Arab Emirates. And I think they're doing this because they're getting ready for something much bigger inside of those countries, maybe an EMP. So if we have an EMP level nuclear detonation where it just meant to wipe out infrastructure, well, if you don't have your communication systems and some of your infrastructure hardened against that, your whole country is literally going back to the 1400s in a couple of hours. Now, the first couple of days after that event are going to be the most dangerous because you're going to have confusion by violence and people who, remember, the most dangerous people that you're going to experience in this next couple of months are the unprepared and the desperate. And as desperate people start to realize that no one is coming to help them, they don't know if their family is literally even alive. What they're going to do is try to go make sure that they are in a stable position by coming after your food, your water, your medicine, your ammunition. Now, law enforcement here inside of our country is as ready as they're ever going to be, but they're not ready enough to protect you. There's way too many people walking through your city and state. I don't care how rural you are. I live in a place with less than 1,000 people in it. And I see people out all day, every day, whether they're commuting or whether they're locals. Your law enforcement cannot handle the level of violence that will come with this. Now, with Iran sending their proxy elements to target people of different religious beliefs, people who show any sort of backing of the current American administration, and I don't know if that's why some of these multiple nose ring, colored haired individuals are out there, death to America as they stand on American soil. I don't really know what their motivations are. Maybe it's just fear. Maybe they're just scared little girls and boys, or little girls and girls. And they're afraid that if they don't show the Iranian or the Muslim for them and their family, they might be right. But let me tell you something. I will never denounce as a person ready, prepared to protect my family. And you have to take a similar position, I believe, for what's coming. Now, the law enforcement, like I said, they're getting ready. A blackout event is coming to some degree. We've already seen multiple members of our community and my local law enforcement saying that they're telling their family to get ready. And that goes on top of what the word we're getting from all U.S. military service members that are daring enough to send a message to us. And they're daring enough to say that this is what's happening, and they're telling their family pretty much quit their jobs. So if you're looking at what is happening right now, and from the military, you can see that this is not going to end anytime soon, and you're telling your family to quit your job and basically don't go out as little as you can. Well, what does that mean for you and me? Hurt you, you should probably take a similar stance. Limit your exposure. Be prepared to de-escalate if an escalatory event comes up in front of your area of operation. Know how to evacuate the. Now, if you can't get out of your area because it's locked down by either law enforcement, remember they put up those things on the highways, right? For how many decades were we able to just make a turnaround? It made you have to turn around and go through the gully and go the other way on the highway. And then they put up those steel cable enforcement protocols that make it so unless you have some sort of gas-powered concrete saw to get through it, you're not going to be able to. So if you're locked up in that sort of evacuation position, and then violence starts to break out, what do? Well, that's why you have to start acting before these things happen. So let's see what else we've got going on here. U.S. politicians are urging Donald Trump, you must begin intense military operations against Iran immediately. This must exceed the scope of all previous operations. The United States attacked a tanker in the Gulf of Oman. It was carrying Iranian liquefied natural gas. It did kill 2 crew members. An Iran state broadcaster reported that multiple other attacks are being attributed to the USA. The U.S. military, according to CENTCOM, fired 2 projectiles as the sailing through the Gulf of Oman, reportedly targeting a violation of the U.S. imposed naval blockade against Iran. You must or give to the Iranian people any ability to under this new doctrine. The latest escalation, of course, began when the U.S. reinstated what they were going to do. Now, the conflict, this is Syria, so another part of this puzzle. The Syrian conflict, one with Israel, is not in Damascus's interest, and we must reach an agreement on security measures with the Jewish states. escalation in the region will happen, and we are trying to avoid confrontation with Israel. So if you have the president of a country who has its own interests saying that they know war is coming and they want to find a de-escalatory position that can give Israel what they want or give America what they want, but still hold on to some sovereignty. Tell the media says, you know what, we've accepted it finally. This is a world war. Let me tell you how long it's going to be too late. By the time anybody says it in an official capacity, it's too late. You better already have your 3 to 6 months worth of food, the ability to have your own power, some sort of backup communication system, and a plan with your family to meet at another location if yours gets compromised. The U.S. permanent representative to the United Nations claims capability to an ending war with Iran. This is Mike Waltz. He says, I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military and I have been every way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to. He admitted, though, that the U.S. arsenals are depleted under the previous administration in the transference of weapons to Ukraine. Now, this is interesting. Tie these pieces together and spend $150 on a meal I could make for 20 at home, and it would be better. I wouldn't have to worry about some guy who hates his job spitting in my meal. Or would you go out and spend it? For me, I would. So that's operating on a little bit different of a footing than you would in a
there is so much
marketplace in a thriving economy. And if there's one thing that we do not have here in the United States of America,
that
it's a thriving economy.
is needed.
Sure, the machine keeps on going. It's run on debt. I have multiple friends and family members who live their life operating daily on debt just to seem like they are achieving some sort of social. I don't care if you ride a bicycle every day. I don't care if you roll your own tobacco. I don't care what you do. Do not give in to their goals and gains. Because this system is about to get a lot harder for really everybody. They, just like the Ukrainians do not care about having the accessible electricity to keep houses warm so that grandma doesn't die from the winter cold or get frostbite on all of her fingers. Because with frostbite, you know what happens? Your body is basically pulling everything near the heart, everything near your core organs. They're pulling it all there. Your body's pulling it all there.
Get your seeds, you guys.
Because it's the brain.
Get your water figured out for good down. Get your homestead layouts done. Get them started. Get chicks. Make sure you have roosters to keep up your flocks. We still need to get some for ours. If you have money now and you have the means for shelter, that kind of thing, get your other homesteading animals like ASAP. Go ahead and plan a fall garden, figure out your food preservation, get your homesteading books, get books on canning, fermentation, dehydration, books that teach you how to do both. We're teetering. It's the internet. It's being stupid now. Yeah, our internet's being stupid right now. This is why I've hesitated on doing a live. Well, if I can't, and pick up in the morning, hopefully. I'll give it a few minutes, and if it still is doing this, I'm just gonna stop. And I apologize for the eating dinner while doing my live, but measure dishes are done. And then get ready to go get friend. So, where are these? Hold on, guys. Give it a couple minutes. Let me go check on. I would get my phone, but I had to plug it in. Let me go check on my zucchini that I have in my pan, and I will be right back. The internet's being stupid. Like I said, we've been having problems with this. If you saw my video from last night, being as many seeds as possible, even picking out the seeds of vegetable stuff that were given to us by other people that are growing gardens this year. Like the cucumbers, even though it's painstaking, like it's necessary. You've got to save those seeds. You've got to make sure you can grow your own food. It's so important now, more now than ever. Like, I can't stress how important it is. And yes, I'm painstakingly picking out the seeds in my cucumbers. So frying up some butter, real butter. Let's see if we can get this to do something. Oh, wow. Looks like our internet is not up to par. I will try to do another live tomorrow. As I said in the other video, Aaron is waiting on a box to be delivered. A new Wi-Fi router. So, because I guess the other one is outdated. Six of one and half a dozen of the other. I will do my best to get us caught up. All right. So, tune in the morning. I will do my best to get a live out tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do another video tonight. We'll see. I'll just have to see what the internet's doing. But I will see you guys in the next one. Get going on your homesteads, you guys. It's so important. Get your water figured out. Get your homestead laid out. Gardens gridded out. Get a fall garden in. Get your food preservation figured out. Get your books. You know, it's a lot, but I'm in the same boat. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Like and share the videos. Share them with everybody on your platforms. Tell them to share them on all your other platforms. Just get them out there. Get this information out there. Do your research. Do your preps. Do your chores. Get your garden. Get your fall garden in. Get your homesteads going. Get chicks. Yada, yada, yada. Other homestead animals or whatever. Just get going on it, okay? And continue to do research and see you guys in